Good evening, everybody. Here again, Vampire YGO. This is actually my second profile in pretty much a day. I'm just kind of trying to make up for the fact that I missed a few weeks without posting any content. So I'm just trying to post a few back to back just to kind of make up for that. Obviously, as you can see here, it's a Crusadia deck profile. I've tested all three, even before the ban list, and after the Guard Dragon plays, and then the other play, which is the Azathoth kind of out Nibiru kind of play, which is also sort of like a Dragon Link style. This is the OTK variant with the Kaijus. It's kind of control-y / mid-range, but it's definitely consistent out of all three styles. This is the one that I've actually been winning with the most, and it's actually a really fun deck to play. If you play Crusadia, I definitely recommend at least trying out this profile, at least online, to see if you like it. It's amazing. And then thank you guys again for all your guys' time. Thank you for the likes, dislikes, comments, subscribes, views, everything. Appreciate the feedback. Please continue to just let me know what you guys think, and then let's get right into it. As you can see, I'm pretty much any Crusadia variant. You want to run 3 of all the Crusadia monsters. We'll start with 3 Crusadia Leonis. What he does is, every Crusadia monster has 2 effects. One effect when they're special summoned, or can be special summoned to a link arrow that points to, and then an effect that they can use during their turn as well. And then his effect is he can target one of your monsters, or the Crusadia Link monster, and if it attacks a defense position monster, then you can do piercing damage, which definitely comes into play, especially sometimes with like the Equimax or Abramax, either one. We got 3 Reclusia. Like I said, pretty much going to be 3 of every single monster in there. The Ultra looks amazing. Before it was just, I don't remember, I think it was super or a common. I think it was a common, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this one's the same thing, special summons to a link arrow that it points to, and then you have the power to target one other Crusadia monster you control that's pointed to by a link monster, and then 1 card your opponent controls, and you can tribute both of them, or tribute that monster and destroy the card that it pointed to on your opponent's side of the field. It comes up every once in a while. It's definitely, you can use it to bait and negate. Basically, like in this one, you'll bait and negate, use a Rageki or a Kaiju Slumber or something like that. I used it a few times online last night when they had Hot Reds and the Boral Dragon, the Synchro. I don't know why I can't remember his name right now. Thuroboria. Super also looks awesome. Amazing artwork on all the Crusadia cards. They look so dope. This one is a Grave effect besides its special summon effect. This one will protect your Crusadia monster from being destroyed. It is awesome. You can even protect, if this one activates its effect, target this card itself, destroy 1 card on your opponent's side of the field, remove the Arborea. This doesn't get protected, or this gets protected, and then you can use it again next turn. Usually you're going to use the Arborea, though, to protect your Abramax or Equimax. 3 Crusadia Draco. This is one of the best ones that you can get. This is usually the one you're going to search for if you did not get it in your opening hand. What this one's, besides its special summon effect, is when it's special summoned to the link arrow that it points to, you can take a Crusadia monster from your grave and add it back to your hand. So usually what you want to do is use the one that you started off with that you normal summoned, because you haven't used its special summon effect yet. So say you normal summon Arborea, link off to Magus, summon Draco, Draco gets Arborea back to hand, link away to Spatha, and then special summon Arborea, even though you already got the normal summon off there. Draco is definitely the one you want to see if you don't get it. This is the one you want to search for. And then the last Crusadia monster, the Maximus. His effect you don't use as much either, but he's definitely one that you'll also want to usually use the normal summon to get a roll in there and just use his special summon. But his effect is he can target one of your Crusadia Link monsters, and when it does battle damage to an opponent's monster, the battle damage is doubled. Yeah, the Prismatic, hard. Yeah, and then he's got a good attack out of all the rest of those monsters as well. Not too bad. And then for the last of the monsters that I would say besides the hand traps and kaijus, the World Legacy Crown. Another free special summon to any link arrow that they point to, and it is also a negate. And then sometimes you'll end up using it as an attack as well. Get an extra 2k with your Avermax there. Sometimes you do 5k in a turn, depending on, again, what you got going on or what deck you're playing against. Yeah, even that hollow is hard to focus on. Whew. Cool looking card. Next, we'll get into the Kaiju package. We'll run 1 Gamma Seal, Sticky Web, Mothra, Doggeron, and then the Lightning Strike Kaiju as well. So, Sticky Web, Doggeron, Gamma Seal. 5 of them. You want to see a decent amount of them, and you have 2 Kaiju Slumbers that you run in the deck. These, you usually see 1 in your opening hand. If you get 1 and you basically get 2 of the Crusadia monsters, you pretty much have game there. And this is an always going second deck. As much as you possibly can go second, but the plays are actually still very nice to going first, and I side deck pretty well for a going first variant there, but I choose kind of 1 of each, go through the attacks. A 22 attack, 24 for the Sticky Web, Mothra 27, 3 for Doggeron, 33. Just always kind of keep 1 level up above another. I tried running 2 Gamma Seal, and I didn't like running into the double. Sometimes you would get to the point where those were the only 2 that were in there, and you obviously want to be able to attack over theirs, not suicide with theirs. Into the hand traps, we have the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Definitely 3. I still believe this is a card that 90% of decks should be running 3 of at all times anyways. Always beautiful artwork on these cards. I love the original. I don't know why my camera's having trouble focusing right now. We're gonna run 2 Veiler, and then 2 Ghost Ogre. Hand traps are pretty standard there. You want to run a decent amount to get as many stops as you can on your, I guess to say, their first turn, and then that way you have a decent amount to get out, usually Avermax, and start doing some damage. That would be it for the monsters. We run 1 Crusadia spell. I've tried using the field spell and the other one as well. This is the only one, at least in this deck. The other 2 decks, you definitely want to run 1 of each, but in this one, you also even want to run 1 crawler in the other ones. This one's perfectly fine, just with this one in here to prefer protection from effects power, which definitely helps. And it's searchable. You search it from the Regulex when you special summon to it. Then we got 2 Interrupted Kaiju Slumbers. Oh, that secret looks fire. Gamma Seal and Doggeron, they're just like, I'm awake now. Time to go mess something up. These are definitely handy. Sometimes you'll see 1 plus the Raigeki and so forth in your first hand. If you get this again too after them making like a huge board, like yesterday I played a Dragon Link deck that was a Blue Eyes variant. They spent freaking 10 minutes making their board. They set up the 1 Boral Savage Dragon for their negate, baited it with the Crusadia Reclusio, like I was saying, and then just freaking Kaiju Slumbered them the next turn and then destroyed their whole board, and then went upon my day. And then 1 Raigeki. This card definitely comes in handy as well. I mean, not many decks would really want to run this card, but it's just extra board wipeage. And then for the Reborn cards, we're going to be running 2 Succession and 1 Monster Reborn. You usually want to see at least 1 of these in your opening hand. It's not necessary, but it definitely extends the plays to where versus you ending with just an Avermax and something else small like Link 2, you can end with like an Equimax or something like that and pretty much just go for game that turn. And Searcher, the Rhoda. Obviously that one's for the Arborea. She's the only warrior. She's level 3, so she's the one you'll usually search for. And then, because I mean, you want to see as many Arboreas in the grave as possible for the extra protection. And then this card, just in case, like I said, it's very Link and search based, so you want to stop those ashes as much as possible. And then I do run one trap, one imperm, and it does see its play, and when it does, it is always useful. I feel like I see it enough at one. I don't have more than one. I still don't think, even if I had another, that I would find room to run it at two. But it definitely helps when you get it. It's not necessary. You usually rather see the ashes in a kaiju in hand versus this one. Those are pretty much more of the cards you're going to that way. And that is actually it for the deck. 40 cards. Going second variants. We'll get into the extra. We have 3 mages. Man, that prismatic is crazy. It's also hard to like focus on it with all that hollow on there. But he's your starter. He gets everything rolling. Once you normal summon, you'll pretty much go into your Magus after effect there if you use one, and then summon another, activate Magus' effect. Usually you'll try to get Draco if you have not gotten him yet in your hand, or obviously another one, special summon to him, go to Regulex. Spatha special summon the other one, move it over, summon another, link to Regulex, link both into Crusadia Abramax. 90% of the time, that is what you will be going into. One Spatha, sometimes I kind of want to move it to 2, but the reason I have the Magus at 3 is there is plenty of times where if you get in kind of like a grinder, you'll definitely use Magus either sometimes twice in a turn, or at least want to save one for the next turn. If something goes wrong, you can get out the, boss monsters. 2 Regulex. It's your searcher for your spells when a card is special summoned to its link arrow, and then all the Crusadia link monsters gain the attack of any monsters that they point to, but those monsters cannot attack. So Regulex definitely can get a big boost if it's pointing to a kaiju. Usually when you get the kaijus, you want to always point to that arrow right above whichever link area that you're linking to. That way it gets the kaiju's attack, and you just work right on over it. And you have the 2 Aquamatics. Your One Punch Man, as I guess everybody calls it. He is wild. He's also got a negate on him as well for his effect, and he can get up there. You'll usually, if you get him out, you'll want to try to get the Maximus on board. Have him pointed to a kaiju, have Maximus's effect to go off to double the battle damage, and then just hit him. One Punch Man. And then last but not least, for the Crusadia links, the Big Boss Monster. He is one of my favorite cards. I would say is probably my favorite link monster. Everyone was, letting him get down to $13 for a while. I had no clue why this card ever got that cheap. It is amazing. It is extremely hard for so many decks to get over this. Obviously, it's one less than the BLS, but this thing versus the BLS, this one wins. And that artwork is fire. Yeah. Ready to mess them up. And then you have the Arborea just protecting him in that Crusadia Power quick play spell. If you usually have those 2, one in the grave, one on board, yeah. They're going to have an extremely hard time winning that game. If you can at least boost that setup, especially like if you have hand traps or kaijus in hand, man, game over. 1 Lambda, just for the generic link 2, just in case for, emergency situations. We do have Cerberus and a Nightmare Phoenix. Phoenix and Nightmare Cerberus are obviously situational cards. You obviously know what they do. 1 Apollosa. This card doesn't come up very often, but it has definitely come up. More usually if you get into a grind game, or depending on there are some decks that you'll play, or if you end up going first, this is a card that sometimes you can kind of out to. Man. Also one of the dopest freaking cards in the game. Camera, what are you doing today? And then we have the 2 Boral Brothers. Boral Sword, Boral Load. Again, these ones are probably even less used than the Appaloosa. They're just there for, bullying backup if things go wrong. You can always turn on the Boral Boys. And that is it for the extra deck. I guess we'll go into the side. I also have a side deck ready for this one, at least most of it, just to show you what I'd be working with. It's close to the Necros one and most, I would say. 3 Nibiru. This is where it kind of gets different. I only have 1 Super Poly because I sold the rest, but I do have 2 of the Ultras from Dual Devastator on their way. So I would be having 3 Super Polys total in the side deck, plus Fusion Target, the Trifeovertum, Dragostapelia, Violet Chimera, and then the obvious Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, 3 Twin Twister, and then it would be for the 14 and 15, I would run 2 Get Outs for your going first, which also you can use for Solemn Judgments or 2 more Imperms, either one, or either 2. Those are the ones I would go for it there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This is what I've seen. I've studied a lot of different Kaiju OTK decks with this variant as well. A lot of them are pretty similar. I know a lot of people run the Kyoto Waterfront variant to get the negates with the Gamma Seal and whatnot, but I think this one's just a little more straightforward and can combat a decent amount more style decks than typical, based on what I've seen online at least. It is one of the most fun decks that I have ever played before, and the artwork on all the cards is just amazing. And then, of course, you know, if I can get my favorite Link Monster, Abramax, out, had to be based around that. So let me know what you guys think again. Like, comment, subscribe, dislike. Let me know your feedback. Appreciate your guys' time again. Yeah, you guys have a good night.